Okay, we are live. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I hope everyone's had a very good Wednesday. Let's get kicked off into the show, and I want to get talking tonight, guys, about two potential new names being linked to Manchester United. Now, one of them I'm sure we've seen before, and probably from some less reliable sources, and maybe at times it hasn't been the loudest name out there, but certainly it's pretty loud now, and that's Roberto De Zerbi, and could be looking at a potential future manager for Manchester United. Could we be? I'm not too sure. I think a lot of this does make sense when we consider where INEOS are, what they're looking at in terms of their big hires and who they're bringing in to run the show. You look at Omar Barada, for instance, in to be the new CEO. He wanted to bring Roberto De Zerbi to Manchester City to replace Pep Guardiola if and when that happened. Then you got Dan Ashworth, who was very heavily involved in Brighton. Obviously, that's where he did originate from within the Premier League as well. And he could be a key factor in Roberto De Zerbi being high on that list. Now, look, as we know, Ashworth's had a pretty long career. We could also point out his time at the FN says, I mean, he's going to get Gareth Southgate. Hopefully not. But I do think that De Zerbi is one of those that potentially you could see feature into a potential managerial hotspot, or a potential manager who you might see brought into Manchester United, or who you might see as a potential replacement for Erik Ten Hags. Look, the more I've been thinking, I've been doing some soul searching this week. It's been a pretty interesting week. I've been exceptionally busy in my own personal life, and I haven't really been on the channel here as much as I ought to be, and I do apologise for that. But I have been doing some thinking, I have been doing some reconciling. I guess really, whenever we look at what we are doing at the minute under Erik Ten Hag this season, we have 21 wins from 44 matches. It's not a good ratio. I believe, according to Bath Time from the United Agenda, since we won the Carabao Cup, we have a win rate of 50%, which is not good enough. And I know we talk a lot about how good Erik Ten Hag's win rate has been at Manchester United. And all things considered, yes, it's probably still the number one, I think, in terms of an actual percentage. But there is no doubt about it as well that certainly since that Carabao Cup last season, we have had a drop off. It looks to be about 50% in terms of league results. It's pretty much something similar as well in terms of the other results as well when we factor in the cup competitions. Yes, 4 defeats in the Champions League, 1 draw, but that's probably going to be cancelled out by FA Cup 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round, quarter-final, and potentially the semi-final. So that does kind of cancel itself out, but you're sort of looking right now at a team that has 50 points after 32 matches. And look, I don't want to come on here and just hound after the manager, because I feel like I'm not really that type of guy. I don't want to be that type of guy who's just going to sit and complain about the manager and say it's all Erik Ten Hag's fault, because it's not. He can only use what he has at his disposal. He can only get out of those players what they want to put in, and he can only go so far with these group of players. For instance, Harry Maguire is not going to be a centre half who's going to be able to chase a man down from the halfway line. Marcus Rashford this season has gone off the boil. Bruno Fernandes is suddenly not going to have the legs to be a box-to-box midfielder in that kind of role that we're playing in. But obviously, look, things swing in both directions. Should we be covering up our flaws and our weaknesses? Absolutely, that is part of management. They always say that there. Cover your weaknesses, punctuate your strengths, and that's how you can adapt to what you got. But this season I don't think we have, and I think that's a fair enough assessment. But look, I'm going to ask you guys an interesting poll question tonight, because this is going to be a big transfer window. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be very, very exciting. How many signings do you think we're going to go for? We're not going to go too heavy. We're not going to ask existential threats or questions to the very fabric of this club, like, are Manchester United ever going to win a trophy again? Are we doomed to fall into a perpetual spiral of decadence and disrepair and doom? I'm just going to ask you guys a simple question. How many signings are we going to get this summer? Because another player has been linked today from a very good source in Muppeteers, and that is Dewsbury Hall, a player who's done very well for Leicester this year. One point, I believe he was sort of a source of ridicule online as well, but that was because Gabby Balnahor said he would take him over like Mateo Kovacic or Bernardo Silva or something stupid like that. So an interesting player, but they did raise an interesting point. They said Christian Eriksen is expected to leave in the summer, and that for me is more signs towards a bigger summer transfer coming. You know, we talk a lot about Casemiro going, but we haven't yet spoke about Christian Eriksen going. We haven't really talked a lot about Martial going, even though we've all accepted that a long time ago. Greenwood's likely to go. Sancho's likely to go. Van de Beek will go at some point. Varane's probably going to run out of contract. Johnny Evans could retire. Harry Maguire might get sold. Lisandro Martinez might not come back to the level he was at. Luke Shaw may no longer be able to be relied upon. Tyrell Malacia might never be a footballer again in terms of where he could have been when he was first signed. And then we go across the board. You're looking at Anthony. Is he good enough? You're looking at those midfield issues. Casemiro, Christian Eriksen, even question marks about Bruno Fernandes. So a lot of players could be going in this window. So how many do you think is going to come in? Is it going to be 1 to 3, maybe 3 or 5? We feeling more ambitious, maybe 5 or 6, or we're going to say 7 or more. Now, look, I'm sure that there will be a lot of players linked to us. I might get a whiteboard or something and write down every player list, and we'll put it in the background, just to keep track of this here. Because, as I said a while ago, I'm working on a lot of interesting changes coming up, and I'm excited for that. Got some of the stuff down here. Need to start to figure out how to use it, but we're going to get there in the end. But certainly, it's going to be a big window. How many do you think we're going to get, guys? Let me know. I've got thoughts down below. I've got Jarl down there. I think we'll sign 3 players and loan 5. Big ups to Steph as well. I think it's under really top class management to challenge the competition. Yeah, you do. I mean, we as much as we need top class players and top class facilities and directors, we also need top class management as well. Across the board, that whole motto and that whole mantra, I guess, that INEOS are trying to pull off of Manchester United, the whole best in class, that extends throughout the entire club. It doesn't just stop where we want it to stop. And if they decide that it's not going to be Erik Ten Hag who's best in class, then so be it. If they decide that he is best in class, then so be it. Let's see where we're going to go. I guess all we can really do as fans is just look to it and react to what we got from a point of view of just this season, last season. Everything's going to filter in together as well. Dark Row was on there. I see a young Sir Alex Ferguson and De Zerbi. I mean, there's not too much similarities. Good young managers at a point, yeah. I mean, but I don't know, like, very different era, very different style of football, very different, obviously, but I guess you got some character traits there. De Zerbi wants brave and courageous football, Sir Alex Ferguson wanted the same, and maybe it's transferable. He is a progressive coach with a clear and obvious tactical system. He needs to have the right players at this club to thrive, and it's an interesting one because I've been doing some thinking about it this week. If De Zerbi is a manager that we bring in, if we go De Zerbi, fundamental to to his system is a Pascal Gross, a Pascal Gross type all action, all purpose midfielder who can create, who can score, assist, do a lot of work on the ball, a lot of work off the ball, and really fit into that there mould, be an absolute jack of all trades in the middle of the pitch and be so influential for his team. And I've been thinking, like, where do we have that player? Do we have that player at the club? Because I don't think Bruno's that necessarily. I think Manu's very good, but he's not that type of player. I guess looking at it, and this could be an interesting thought, and an interesting thing maybe to explore in a video if it ever was to be De Zerbi as our manager. I think Mason Mount could fit in that role. I don't know why, but I feel like Mason Mount might be someone who shines under De Zerbi if it happened. That's key. The if word is absolutely key in this hypothetical situation. Stephanie wants 10 senior players out, so 5 or 6 was your vote. Fair enough, Stephanie. I can't argue too much with that. I think 10 out, 5 or 6 in, and then we do some academy promotions because we got some really good players coming through. You look at that under-18s team; they've won their league title with 1 loss. Absolutely smashed it this season. You look at young players training with the first team as well. You got Lacey in there. You have Harry Amas in there as well. Habib is in there. Lots of good players coming through. So definitely one to keep an eye out on. Hello to Bart. Bart is glad he can make it. Has Ten Hag lost authority in the locker room this season? I'm sure there will be aspects of that. Look, I don't know. And I think it's important that we don't go burying Erik Ten Hag prematurely either, because we still don't know where this is going to go. We're not yet sure what's going to happen here. I feel that INEOS and I feel like Radcliffe and I feel that the club will have made a decision by now. And I also feel like the guys being brought in, your Baradas, your Ashworths, your Jason Wilcox, all those guys will have been looking at the situation, speaking to people in the club as far as they can in an unofficial capacity, probably over lunches and stuff like that. There, and it's kind of looking like a decision will be made if it hasn't already been made. And I don't know. Like, I'd be surprised if Ten Hag stays on next season. To be honest, I think the noises coming out of his camp are not particularly good either. I think there's question marks. Yeah, you could talk about authority as Bart did there, but there's even links within going back to Ajax. Like, those are not particularly good rumours if you are for keeping Erik Ten Hag. When you see journalists closely associated with himself and who have been over his tenureship saying that there's a possibility of him going back to Ajax in the summer, then you start to say, is this going to be a parting of the ways kind of moment as well? Because wouldn't be the first time. It could not be the first time whatsoever that we find ourselves in this situation. It's actually very, very, very similar to that last season under Louis van Gaal, where we were kind of in for a top four race, but we were never going to get it, and it was just always waiting for it to be mathematically impossible. We went on and potentially had an FA Cup win, and then the manager got sacked. Could this current Dutch manager end up in the same position as Louis van Gaal did? I don't know. It's interesting parallels. Anyway, look, an interesting story from Romano is INEOS have not made contact with Graham Potter, Southgate or Nagelsmann about the managerial job. See, it's one of those, because I'm kind of looking at it like you do want to trust your more reliable journalists, and for a long time now, when Fabrizio Romano has spoken, we have listened to what he said. But in terms of what he's actually doing with INEOS and the coverage that he's getting, it doesn't seem to be as accurate. So some of the statements don't seem to be as true. He was telling us that Jean-Claude Blanc would be the new CEO of Manchester United. He's on the board of directors. Yeah, he came in, but he didn't get that information correct. And seemingly that was known within the club for a while. Other sources had told us that already. But it's an interesting one nonetheless. Bart is down there as well. Last season, Sabitzer was at United last night. He scored the goal that sent Dortmund to the semis. This shows United don't maximise the talents of signings effectively. No, it doesn't. Sabitzer is a good player. Like, I don't think he was ever the right player for us. I don't think he was ever the right player for what we needed him to be. He was brought in at a time when Casemiro was potentially injured, had a suffering in form, and had some suspensions. We kind of tried to play Sabitzer in a double pivot at times. It didn't quite work. That's not his strength. In the right system, he's a good player. He was a very good player for RB Leipzig in the right system. He's been a good player this season for Borussia Dortmund in the right system. We just probably weren't the right fit for him at the time. But look, an interesting story, and a player who I really do like and I think could be a really good fit for us, but I don't think it's going to happen, is Archie Gray. Now, Archie Gray is a young player coming through at Leeds United, been absolutely outstanding this season for them in the Championship. Plays both kind of in that defensive midfield sort of area, but he can fill in a fullback as well. United have had a long-standing interest in the Leeds midfielder Archie Gray. Staff at United consider him a complementary profile to partner Kobbie Mainoo. If United were to pursue the young midfielder, personal terms may prove to be troubling due to the player's close family ties to Leeds United. We've seen this before. We've seen this when there was prospective interest in Calvin Phillips. It wouldn't happen because of that issue there. It's an interesting one because I really like Archie Gray, but I just can't see that one happening for that reason. But one story I do think there is a bit of truth in, and it's because it's come out from several different sources today, and that is Kieran Dewsbury Hall. So Dewsbury Hall is a player Manchester United are looking at closely this summer. United scouts are of the belief that he will be a shrewd signing for the midfield and presents good value for money in the current market. Now, this comes, Leicester are expected to go up, but there's no guarantee of it at the minute. They do seem to have choked that automatic promotion and the Championship title a little bit. There's no guarantee that they go up. If Leicester don't go up, it will be an economic disaster for the club because their FFP and their profit sustainability, it's really poor. Even if they do go up, there's still going to be question marks about that. Could he be a player we look to bring in? I don't think he's the right sort of profile for us in terms of someone to put alongside Mount or Bruno or Manu. I think if you bring Dewsbury Hall in, you bring him in to fill out your squad, and you bring him in as a Christian Eriksen type replacement, someone who you can rotate in and out with Bruno Fernandes, who you can rotate in and out with Kobe Manu. I don't think he's a sitting midfielder. I don't think he's ever really been that, but he's a technically good player. He would raise the technical flooring of our team, and it could be an interesting one to look out for. That first piece of news came from United District. There was another one as well from Uppeteers, and they were kind of confirming the same story. United do have a strong interest in Dewsbury Hall as a potential signing to replace Christian Eriksen, who is expected to depart in the summer. So that could be another big departure. I think it's gearing up to be a really interesting summer. I know last season we were in a position where we had to sell to buy, and it wasn't good because we were trying to get these ludicrous prices like 40 million for Maguire and 40 million for Scott McTominay. But now we're in a position where players might be able to go for less. You might see Christian Eriksen go for 5 million, 10 million. You might see Scott McTominay go for 30 million. You might see Maguire go for 25 million. I think you're going to see more players leave this year because there's less of a keen interest and a burning requirement for United to go out there and actually get more players, actually get more money for those players. Because the COVID seasons are now off the books, United are in a much, much better financial situation. Does that mean we're going to go out there and spend 500 million? No, it doesn't. But we might be able to spend 220 million. Maybe we only need to sell 5 or 6 players for decent money. All of a sudden, then a lot more possibilities come out there, and you start looking at the squad and thinking, yeah, look, are we going to sell Casemiro? We might do. Will we sell Sancho? We might do. Do we sell Greenwood? Almost certainly we will do. It's a lot of money you're potentially raising by selling those players alone. It's a lot of money, and those are players we might not have been as willing to take a loss on even last season. So what's going to happen there will be an interesting one. I'm sure we're going to have a very busy summer in terms of incomings and outgoings. If you want my thoughts on the poll question, do I think we're going to send 7 or more players? Probably not. I think 5 is most realistic. I think if 10 go, 5 come in, you probably have 5 promotions from within the youth academy as well, just to fill out your squad of 26, 27, maybe even 30 players as well, because you're going to need it. You are going to need it, and you want to give pathways for younger players with a lot of talent who we do have at the club. Really good generation coming through. You want to give them pathways into the first team to succeed. That's what we really want to see at this moment in time. Now, I've got more thoughts down below. I'm going to have to go through some of this. I have been a little bit neglectful of the comment section tonight. What have I seen? Kieran is under. Do I think Ten Hag will go? I think they'll give him the start of next season. Possibly, but I think from my point of view, Kieran, is they will want the new management to come in with a summer to work with the recruitment team and the directors. I think they'll want to give it as long as possible, and that's why I do have questions about Julian Nagelsmann. As much as I love him as a manager, in terms of I love the way that he plays football, and I love the tactics, I do think that potentially with Nagelsmann, with the Germany side that does look to be doing a lot better, if they end up going far in the European Championships, you're talking mid-July before he goes. That's pre-season time. We need a manager in before then. So it will be important. We do not want to be sitting with academy coaches taking first-team training sessions for the first 2 weeks of the pre-season. We want to avoid that. Anyway, I've got thoughts down below. Who have I got? Bart, what did Omar Barada actually do at Man City? He had a pretty particular job role, buddy. Let me quickly pull that up for you. He wasn't CEO, but he definitely was being talked about as potential for promotion in there. He was the Chief Football Operations Officer. That was his job title. Rich is down there. Hi, Stefan. And the people in the stream. Good to see you, Rich. Thanks very much for joining in, Rich, buddy, as well. Guys, make sure to check out Rich's channel as well if you haven't already. What have we got? Casemiro just isn't fit enough. Yeah, I mean, it does look like that. I don't like using the term the legs have gone, but it does kind of look like that at times. He's always perpetually lunging into situations that he just doesn't seem to be able to prevent himself from getting into as well. It just seems like the role change like we were doing this season, where we've moved away from being more of a transitional based team last year, where we're trying to mid-block teams, to move towards this. No, it's just not it. Yeah, the system doesn't help him, but I don't know. I just think he's done. Who have I got? Matata, if Amrabat and Sabitzer aren't fit for our system, in what way is Casemiro fit for the system? Yeah, it's true. Look, I'll say this about Amrabat. I think Amrabat's not a bad profile, but I don't think he's the right player for it. I don't think the technical levels are good enough there. I think he's pretty slow as well. But it's one of those ones. He could have been a good signing. During the summer, I was eager for us to bring him in because we needed that profile. We needed someone else to come in. Obviously, Manu was going to be injured, and then we needed some kind of cover. I don't think he's been as good as we wanted him to be, but I still think it does mean, just because Amrabat didn't work out as a player doesn't mean that we don't need that kind of profile in there. He just wasn't the guy to fill it out, maybe. Bart is on there. Good player in the championship, will need to do well at top 10 club. Yeah, potentially. Bath Time is down there. Will I finish the House of Hope quest? And I have, buddy. I have. I told you earlier. Jarl is on there as well. Liverpool goes up and wins 4-0 against Atalanta. Will continue in the cup. But if they're not, inform anyone which United give them a win which grew much larger. Yeah, look, it's one of those. Liverpool's in an interesting position at the minute. It does kind of look like they've run out of steam a little bit. I have a couple of friends who support Liverpool. They've all been saying the same thing. It does look like they've kind of run out of juice as this season has gone on. But they've probably overachieved to be in that position in the first place. Bar the midfield, they didn't overly transform a lot from last season to this season. And it's one of those that they'll probably improve as they go along. But do you know where Lee Grant is now? I think Lee Grant's in coaching or something, isn't he? Jarl said Ten Hag close to having the worst Premier League season. Can't continue with a manager who's that bad. You know, it's one of those, man. It is one of those. It's like you kind of have, as much as you can have sympathy for the guy, and as much as you can look at it from the point of view that we've had a hell of a lot of injuries, like we've had so many players drop off in form this season. You know, there is also no escaping from the fact that we've got minus goal difference. We have lost 12 or 13 league matches this season. We still have 6 to go. I think from 44 matches this year, we've won 21. We've lost 17 or 18 matches this season, and the season's not over yet. You know, from that point of view, it's one of these things. It's like, as much as we want to have accountability for the players, I think you also have to have accountability for the manager as well. And I don't think it's a simple case of saying that, yeah, look, the players have quit the guy. They've thrown another manager under the bus. And you might hear that from the likes of Talk Sport, or you might hear that in other fan channels. I don't think that's necessarily the case. You know, think back across this season. You look at the 4-3 win against Liverpool at home. If the players give up, then we wouldn't have made it to 2-2 in the first place and went to extra time. Same happened in the league. We went behind there, and obviously we fought back and got it. We got the draw there. The same happened to Chelsea. You know, we were 2-0 down. We got to 3-2. Yes, we bottled it, but you have to have the desire in the first place to get back up there. But it's just one of those things. It's hard to quantify. Like, unless you're not actually in that dressing room, we cannot really say, like, yeah, players have thrown him under the bus or whatever. But I don't know. I think from the evidence that we've got so far, that I just don't think it's true for once. And I think it's the easier thing to say that maybe it is true. Now I've got thoughts down here. Let me go through a couple of these. What's Bath saying? I don't know how you managed to get that quick. Oh man, I just kind of got like stuck in like a Baldur's Gate like vortex and just like came out a couple of days later. Rich is down there. Have Liverpool run out of asthma medication? I mean, I don't know what it is, man. Like, I really don't. All of a sudden, it doesn't look to be as intense. It doesn't look to be the same Liverpool like you've seen in parts of the earlier season. I think as well, one thing that really does stand out to me, and a couple of guys who do support Liverpool have said this to me as well, there's a lack of calmness in that forward line. There's too much chaotic players. Luis Diaz, very chaotic player. Darwin Núñez, as chaotic as it gets. Even Mohamed Salah can be rash and erratic at times with his finishing. There isn't really a Sadio Mane type player in there now. There isn't really a Firmino type who have that element of coolness about them in their overall play. It's very, very different than what it was. Batham just loves PG3, honestly. Now I've got a thoughts here from Bart as well. Heard of Kevin Denke, the guy's on a roll in the Jupiter League. His release clause is basically 15, so I can get him for 60. Yeah, that's kind of the negotiation we would do, man. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we did want him that we would go back and do that there. I'm not surprised. I'll have to check him out though. Bart's on there in Klopp's last season at Dortmund. They did have a bad season, especially pre-Christmas. Yeah, look, that's kind of what happened to you guys last season as well. You know, last season pre-Christmas was really bad, and then it picked up after the New Year. This year's been kind of like riding a wave of emotions. You obviously got the Klopp resignation news coming. You have City going for it again. You got Arsenal going for it again, and all those stories that have been told over a long period of time. But it's one of those, you know, we can't really, you can't really quantify it. I think that's what we would say. You can't really quantify the stories and the narratives because we're not really there. We're not really involved ourselves. You know, we watch it from the outside. We have an idea of what might be going on the inside, but there could be something. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, look, I've got a couple of interesting quick updates I want to bring you guys. I don't know why this has done that. There we go. Apparently, United's looking at a lot of South American talent, according to Muppeteers. Surprisingly, a surprising amount of young players United have scouted as well. They're expecting a much different transfer strategy. I guess we also have Muppeteers here saying they're going to be doing a transfer chart on Thursday, so that'll be interesting to watch out for. But they can say that we can add Erik Ten as a potential left-back option, and there is a lot of talk about left-backs, and he's a pretty good one. Like, he's played all over the place for Wolves this season. I've seen him play in the number 10 position at times as well. Bad Time says, season's over, time to get Goblin. Yeah, man, it's one of those, like, I'm looking forward to the D&D streams. Bart says, United hired a negotiator from Man Utd to head up the contract negotiations. I think his name is Matt Lawrence, replacing Matt Judge. Possibly thinking there was a Lawrence brought in, but I think he might have been temporary. I don't think he was permanent. I think maybe, is it Matt Hargreaves that you're thinking of, Bart? Let me know. Yes, Stephanie says Matt Hargreaves as well. Guys, just in terms of the poll as well, anyway, 48% of you guys are going with 3 to 5 signings. I think 5. I think 5 is the number I had going into this season. 5 is the number I have at the minute that I think we go for. And I think if we're looking at 5, it's going to be 2 centre halves, a left back, preferably some kind of holding 6, some kind of more defensive orientated player who can get a lot of work and a lot of duels and a lot of work done basically in the middle of the pitch. And then I guess you're kind of like stuck with that 5th option. Do you go for a striker or do you go for a general attacking player? What do we do in that situation? It might not be 2 centre backs. I think you can maybe knock 2 birds out with a 1 stone if you get a player who can cover both centre half and at full back. They're a fairly rare commodity to be able to do it really well, but certainly something to watch out for. Jarl is saying as well, I won't really go in too much on the manager. I would end up writing a 5k. So I would toss Moyes out the door having a season like Ten Hag is having now. Yeah, I actually think this is worse. Like, this is, I think 13 losses is what we had under Moyes, so like we could theoretically beat that. By the time United also hired a couple of clowns from Ajax. Yeah, true. Lucky's looking Benjamin Sesko. I mean, Sesko's not bad. Like, he's not. And if you're looking at another striker potentially, I don't know. I feel like I said it last year. I feel like it maybe wasn't an overly popular talking point or a player who maybe a lot of people wanted or were interested in. But like I said, that I thought Gianluca Scamacca could be a really interesting signing for United, and I still think that as well. You know, he would be a more experienced option. He is still a good player, very good striker. yes, he didn't work out at West Ham, but that was more because David Moyes saw a 6'5" striker and thought he had the second coming of Marouane Fellaini there, and just wanted to launch the ball to him. Yeah, look, he's good at the air. He's good in the air, but he's got so much more talent and wants to bring people into play and wants to get shots off as well. But he just never really got the option to at West Ham. They just wanted to twat it long to him and have him chase the ball and fight for it up front. But I don't know. I think he could be an interesting one. Lucky's also highlighted an interesting player, and that is Joshua Zirkzee. I'm a big fan of Zirkzee. Really think you got something kind of special there with Zirkzee. Bath time, how's it? A Hadron Collider. Oh dear. There's always a couple of those comments anyway. Steph is down there. Can we at least get that 10th like? Steph, I thought we have. Steph, we got 15 likes, but on my count. I don't know. Like I think the stream somehow has ended up in the recommendations. More in the suggestions of some other video. I wonder what it is, because it feels like a little bit slow on it. What have I ended up in the suggestions of? Somehow I've ended up in the suggestions of a dodgy YouTube stream for the Champions League tonight. I don't even know. Alright, to chat sport, good to see you. Bad time says instead of protons, accelerator emojis. Yeah, actually, guys, I'm counting like 17 likes here in the stream. 16. Let me double check a couple of things anyway. There was a few more stories maybe to go through. What is this here? When United left Varane, go to rivals. I don't know what Goldbridge is talking about tonight. I don't know. Roberto De Zerbi had 10 jobs in the last 7 years. Yeah, it's one of those, like, he has been climbing the footballing pyramid, and to a degree, has he needed to do it? Yeah, but I don't know. Like, there's things with De Zerbi I like and things I'm not too sure about. I think one of them I might want to do is dig deeper into the defensive numbers, because Brighton do seem to concede a lot of goals. I'm not sure if it's about I'm not sure if it's a tactical issue, or if they're overexposed, or if it's a personnel issue, or what really is happening with Brighton. Obviously, look, it could be a bit of a difference going from Lewis Dunk to having the centre halves that hopefully we're going to have next season. But it could be an interesting one. It could be. And I think it's interesting that Fabrizio Romano has put an article out there saying that United have not made any contact with Graham Potter, Gareth Southgate, or Julian Nagelsmann for the managerial position. Nothing's been mentioned there about De Zerbi. I don't think anything's going to be. I don't think anything's going to be out there at all regarding Thiago Motta. I can't see that happening. I mean, he's a pretty. He's had a very good season with Bologna. They could be getting Champions League, but I don't know. I feel like he's going to go to like Juventus or something. Steph says can sleep easier now, for the likes. Yeah, guys, big ups for that anyway. It'll be an interesting one at the weekend. How are we all feeling for United versus Coventry? Obviously, that is the Sunday match, FA Cup semi-final time. Probably going to be doing a watch along for it as well. I'm looking forward to it. Coventry score goals. I will say that they're a team that does get goals, and we're going to have to be competitive, and we're going to have to turn up to have a pretty good match against them if we're going to beat them. It's not a given. It's really not. And the way that we're playing at the minute, I don't think we can take this overly lightly, and I don't think we should do either. If we're being honest with ourselves, it's one of those. It's like we could very easily turn up, put in a half-assed performance, and just not get anything out of that match, or we could turn up and just go out there and beat Coventry, make it to the cup final, and have something to look forward to at the end of the season. Because look, making no mistake about it, I think we need it. Like, I really do. I think it's been a very testing and a very hard season for us. And in the same way that we needed to win the FA Cup under Louis van Gaal, regardless of what was happening with his managerial status, I think we need to win the FA Cup now under Erik Ten Hag, regardless of his managerial status moving into next season. Because I think this has just been a very hard year for the club. It's been a very hard year for us as fans watching this. And it would be nice to cap it off. And ultimately, look, the FA Cup shouldn't be a determining factor of whether you keep a manager or not. If we're going to sack, if we make up our mind to sack Ten Hag and then we suddenly say he's won the FA Cup, let's give him another season, then I think we're probably in the wrong for doing that. So I think it's something that we do need anyway. Chatsport said expect goals for both teams. United will scrape past them, possibly. But it's one of those. It's cup football. At the end of the day, so long as you win and progress into the next round, that's all that really matters. Steph says, let's hope it isn't as stressful as the Liverpool quarterfinal. Still haven't recovered from that one. Nah, never. honestly, I haven't recovered from that there one. I'm still tired from it. I was like the longest and the longest game of football I think I've ever watched, or I had the pleasure of watching it. Steph said we'll have to get to the final and stop either Pep or Pop. Yeah, look, we got to do it. Whether or not we do it in the end, whether we will, I don't know. One of those, we can do, we will do maybe, but I don't know. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out. Batham, got any predictions or preferences for tonight in the Champions League? I mean, I don't really mind too much what happens in Arsenal and Bayern Munich, so long as City don't go through. If Madrid go through tonight, I'll be pretty happy with that there one. I think we're going to see a lot of goals. So a lot of goals. And there's a lot of goals last night. I think there was 3-1 in Barcelona PSG and 4-2 between Dortmund and Atletico. So I'm expecting a lot of goals tonight as well, because 3-3 and 2-2 last time out between these teams. So I'm expecting an exciting night for it anyway. Chatsport wants a trophy of any kind, but the FA Cup is special. Yeah, look, it's one of those. We went a long time without winning the FA Cup as well. We went from, I believe, 2004 to 2016 without winning an FA Cup, which for a competition which we had been for the very longest time, the record holders for in terms of actually winning it was kind of an odd one. There was maybe the odd FA Cup knockout. There was the 2007 final we lost to Chelsea, but some of it was so bizarre. I always look back to Portsmouth beating us at Old Trafford. We should have won that match. We really should have won that match, and we could have done a treble that year in 2007, 2008. We could have done the treble again. If it wasn't for Edwin van der Sar getting injured, Thomas Cusack getting sent off, and Rio Ferdinand going in goals to face a penalty from John Utaka, then yeah, we probably go through. Steph said, can you believe Martial's highlight was 8 years ago this weekend? Champion Everton 2016. Yeah, absolutely. It's genuinely crazy. I remember that goal really well. I think we won that match 2-1. I think that's what the final score was. Now, guys, pick up some 18 likes as well. Much appreciated. Let me just say that there actually, because I think it was 2-1. Because I'm pretty sure Leighton Baines might have scored a penalty, and I think Lukaku hit the post, and I think potentially Timothy Fosu-Mensah played in that there one. I don't know. I'll have to pull it up. Yeah, it was 2-1. I know my memory's pretty good here today. Chatsport said it's been a while since the FA Cup. Yeah, look, it's been 8 years. It's been 8 years since we last won it. We had the FA Cup final under Jose, where Chelsea beat us. I think we went close with Ollie, but I don't think we made a final. And then obviously we lost the final last year as well. So yeah, because we were the nearly men's a couple of times with it, but it has been a while since we had it. Lucky's done their revenge native for Arteta. My friends are Arsenal supporters. Who knows, Lucky, if you might get it. It might happen tonight between Arsenal and Bayern Munich. I don't think Bayern's the best they've ever been. I think this is a pretty weak Bayern team by all stretches of the imagination. Worst Bayern Munich teams have won. Steph said we also lost the 2018 final to Chelsea. Was Jose the manager then? Or was that a different FA Cup? think it might have been the season we finished. That might have been the season we finished second under Jose. I'm pretty sure Phil Jones fouled Eden Hazard and they won 1-0 because it was a penalty that Phil Jones gave away. It was just like one of the really sad moments of that there. Steph says big ups to 20 likes as well. Yeah, guys, big ups for those likes as well. Much appreciated. Bath Time's down there. Is this pre-season Pirlo interview with Rio worth watching? I haven't watched it. I've seen a couple of interesting quotes. I know I seen one of them was that he wanted to go on loan to Flamengo. The club were fairly against it as well, because they wanted him to stay based in Europe, but he wanted to go play in Brazil. Obviously, it hasn't hurt him too much. He's actually been pretty good for Fulham, all things considered. Don't think he was ever really a United level player, to be fair, but some of the stats are interesting. I think someone flagged up that he's created the most chances per touches in the league or something. Like least amount of touches to make a chance. I don't know. It's basically like he's doing quite a lot with not a lot of touches of the ball. Obviously playing a Fulham that suits whenever they'll have space to hit him behind. But yeah, I mean he's doing pretty good there, to be fair. I might go check it out. I haven't watched it at all though yet. But let me quickly check one thing here. I think it might have been something just pop up there. Bath Time said I think he's been decent, but he's always been a mid-table-ish. Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's like he is a decent player. I think Fulham has always kind of been his level, and you know he's doing well at a club and at a level that suits where he's at as a player. But yeah, look, it is an interesting one anyway with Andres Pereira, because there was a lot of potential at one point. A lot of people rated him highly, but he's got some interesting stuff. I mean, he's been talking here about Ole. He says he messed about in the game or stuff like 2 or 3 times in the dressing room. He would get really angry, throw a bottle. You know, he could really get angry. I think that's surprising because people say, you know, people always had that perspective of Ole being a real soft touch, but that's a few players now, you know, have spoke about it. Cristiano Ronaldo has officially won a legal battle with Juventus over a wage dispute, and Juventus will now have to pay Cristiano Ronaldo 10 million euros plus interest. I don't know. That time I give my left arm to be a decent Premier League standard midfielder. Honestly, man, yeah. I mean, people don't talk about it as well. It's like the quality that you actually see in the Premier League is insane. Even Championship, League 1, League 2, like those are such high level players. I don't know. I seen an interesting there was an interesting video I watched a while ago. I think it was a different fan channel said it now. I don't know what your thoughts are on this, buddy, but they kind of said, in terms of actual technical ability, that the difference between Premier League, Championship, maybe even League 1, it's not as high or as large as what some people would say, but the real big key difference maker is consistency. Whereas a Premier League player might be able to pull it off 1 in 3 times, a Championship player might pull it off 1 in 7, 1 in 8. League 1 player might pull it off 1 in 12, 1 in 13 times. I don't know. Obviously, I've never really played at the highest of levels, but Lucky's talking about Kai Havertz, looking him to score, and Bukayo Saka. Sorry, it's spelled wrong, and I nearly read out like Baikolo Saka. Look, I mean, I'm sure Kai Havertz will make a handful of himself as always. I'm positive that they will do that as well. Bathheim says physical is a huge difference between the leagues. It is, yeah. I think that's, you know, in terms of physical fitness and ability, it's absolutely massive, and the conditioning is so much different. And I know we think a lot about Premier League being soft and weak, maybe compared to Championship or League 1, League 2 football. In terms of actual physicality and the fitness of the players, they're probably leagues ahead of them, literally and physically. But anytime you go up a league, it's immediately noticeable. Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. That is one thing I would say that I experienced in my fairly short and fairly low leveled footballing career myself. Look, guys, I think we'll leave the stream here. So enjoy the Champions League tonight. I'm probably going to try catch some of it anyway. Chessport, Tony injured, not starting for Brentford. Brentford even playing? I don't even know that. I didn't even know there was Premier League on tonight. Bath time, watch De Bruyne tonight. Yeah. I mean, I'll probably try to catch a bit of it anyway. Look, guys, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. And I'll catch everyone in the next one.